Thanks so much for visiting Tina Butty on YouTube. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Hello, and welcome back to Tina Butty Podcast. I'm Erica.
And I'm Dominic.
And today, it's kind of a weird topic, this.
A weird one, eh?
Well, a little bit. I mean, it goes along with, there's this, trend on YouTube and,
we're going with it. We're trend...
Wow.
We're trend following again.
It's not necessarily...
Because we're hardly trendsetters, are we?
It's not necessarily that. It's just... I mean, that didn't really inspire it, but it kind of goes along with it, I guess. This trend of people filming themselves doing their nighttime routines.
My nighttime routine, my morning routine.
My morning routine.
My day routine.
Yeah.
Follow me on a day,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah.
It's usually girls doing it, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
The nighttime routine is usually
Yeah, the nighttime routine is
putting
usually
the essential
girls.
oils on and brushing your hair for 12 hours.
Taking their
makeup
makeup off and...
Taking the makeup off.
What kind of creams
putting the makeup
do they
back
put on?
And going to bed in the makeup.
and
then waking up to take it
Marvelous
off.
Mrs. Maisel.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Yeah. That's a good show. So check that out if you haven't already. Amazon Prime.
Anyway.
Or Prime Video or whatever it's called.
I was thinking that kids around here anyway are going to be going back to school this week, I think.
Back to school.
And I was just sitting there thinking last night, really, because my niece and nephew are school-age kids and their parents are starting to put them back to bed early again to get them into their school routine, even though they're not going back to school here anyway.
Well, they're not going back to school as in going to a physical place to school. It's just getting up
online school.
Live streaming school.
Yeah.
All day, all the time.
But it just made me think, because kids, they recommend kids get I think 11 to 12 hours of sleep every night.
Is it 11 to 12?
Yeah. You need less the older you get, but I was just thinking, I don't really think that I got that amount of sleep as a kid. I really don't. And I was just thinking,
I can't remember now.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, what time did I go to sleep on a school night? And that then made me think about in Europe, they supposedly eat dinner really late at night, 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some European listeners. See if that dispels that myth, if that's a myth or not. Do you eat late? Yeah,
Dominic thinks it's a myth that in Europe
I mean,
they
it's
eat really
just
late.
something that, it's depends on the individual,
Yeah.
I don't think it's oh no, in France we eat late.
I mean, what's the reason?
In Italy we eat so late, we eat at 11 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
And our kids don't go to bed until 1 a.m. in the morning.
Well, that's what I was thinking. In Europe, if it's true that they eat dinner late, 9 or 10 o'clock at night, do the kids then not go to sleep until 11? Even really little kids? Or do they put the kids to sleep first and then they eat dinner alone and have a nice leisurely dinner?
Nice leisurely dinner.
Maybe that's why
the kids.
Maybe that's why they eat late, because they've put the kids to bed and then they're just
they're up drinking wine because they're drinking. They have, and the kids have wine with meal in Europe. That's another one over here, isn't it?
Yeah, in America.
They give their kids wine.
In Italy and Spain, particularly. Oh, France, too, I guess.
Where have you seen that?
It's always wine, too. It's never in Germany, the kids get to drink beer with their dinner,
Maybe they do, maybe they don't.
But that is an idea that Americans have about Europe, which sort of ties into Thursday's podcast, where we're going to talk about Europeans' ideas of America.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
mainly British assumptions, I think.
British, European, assumptions about America. Which is the companion podcast to an episode we did a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, so look out for that.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for that one.
But anyway, I was just thinking that. I was if they really genuinely do, and like Dominic said, let us know if you're European and you're and you're listening, let us know, do you eat dinner late? I mean, what is the reason for that? Like, why is that a thing in Europe and not anywhere else? Because I heard one time, this is getting a bit off topic, but I heard one time that Europeans were like about Britain, or was it something to do with when we visited your dad? They were talking, yeah, I think one of your dad's friends, Dominic's dad lives in Spain. When we visited your dad, I think one of his friends was like, oh yeah, the Brits come over here and they all want to eat by like 5 or 6 p.m. They want to eat dinner, and they can't understand why, because in Spain they do siesta, but I think things reopen about that time.
About 6 o'clock, yeah. I think it's about 6 they open, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's like
dinner time, yeah, to me.
But they go in and they're all unprepared. They're just like, oh, what are you doing in so early? You know, because we don't eat till late. But when you and I were in Spain, we didn't really notice anybody eating super late.
Yeah, no, I mean, we went down to that little cafe, that pizza place.
We
went to a pizza place in Spain.
My mom's traveled a lot more around Europe than I have. I mean, I've been to a handful of places, and she swears that they do eat late over there. I don't know. Anyway, let us know, Europeans that are listening.
Probably because there was probably people out on the street,
Yeah. But I mean, there's some people
at tables eating at 10 o'clock at night. And I mean, it's probably business owners. They close their business at 10 o'clock. They're hungry. They want to go to a restaurant, and the restaurant's open. So that happened in Britain too.
Because I'm sure
you go for a curry at 10 or 11 o'clock,
Because I'm sure in Malaga, it was around Christmas time. I'm sure you and me and your dad were out eating, and everything closed at 9 or 10, like it does over here. The restaurants all closed.
Maybe, yeah.
And then that's when we wandered on that table where all those guys were they were
drinking though, they weren't eating.
Yeah, they were just drinking.
They were drinking, and they had the guitars out, and it was some sort of meet up, little open mic night.
Everything was closed. I don't remember people out eating. I agree with you. I think it's a myth. Anyway, to get back to the topic.
We're getting back on topic now.
To get back to the topic.
Getting back on routine.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what brought me to today's podcast. I wanted to just talk about what were our different school routines in the spirit of back to school.
Back to school.
Because we've done school episodes. If you guys haven't heard them, go back and find our old episodes from last year. I think we did a school series where we talked about each kind of individual
part of school.
Yeah, part of school
life, yeah.
Yeah. So this is sort of in back to school mindset.
Yeah.
This episode. And I just wanted to talk about what our different routines were. So we go to school. We won't talk about that. But when we got home, what happened then when we got home from school until bedtime?
Yeah.
I would just think that might be an interesting thing to talk about. Maybe you guys don't agree. I don't really know, but
well, you're getting it anyway.
Yeah, and today. so I put out on Instagram. Well, I guess we'll save that for when we get to actual bedtime. I put out the question on Instagram last night when I was thinking.
We got quite a few responses, actually, quite surprisingly, because when I put out things, people don't really respond.
Well, I think it depends on the type of thing that you put out. People like to reminisce, and so this was
we love to reminisce. We could just call this Tea and Nostalgia. Nostalgia. The Nostalgia Pod.
Yes.
Cast. Thing.
But yeah, so I put out a question on Instagram just asking people where they grew up, which country they grew up in, and then what was their general bedtime, if they could remember. A lot of people couldn't remember. They were just oh God, it was so long ago, I don't remember.
I can't remember what I did.
I guess I should have asked, if you have children now,
did they keep a diary?
Do you put them to bed?
Yeah.
But
that's true, yeah. They would have children now, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean...
Maybe.
Yeah. Possibly not. Anyway... So do you want to go first and kind of tell us what your after school life was like?
Let's
just say up until dinner time.
Yeah, and this is after school life, kind of like a general all after school, not from when I was just a kid. Because I can kind of remember a lot
I'm
when
going
I
to
was
mostly talk about, like, when I was a younger kid, because it was different when I was, like, a teenager.
Yes, I guess so. I mean, I've kind of made it, like...
Just general.
General, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
what time did school let out, first of all?
Oh, it was about 3:05.
Because I Googled this last night. This is
3:05 p.m.
This is me in my little research mode. I'm putting things on Instagram. I'm Googling, I'm liking, I'm thinking. This is the kind of quality podcasts you guys can expect from us. Like, we put thought into these things. But I Googled, and it said that I did do Europe. I didn't do Britain. So maybe it's different. But it said schools let out at like 11 or 1 o'clock. That sounds to me
now?
like...
I don't know.
That sounds to me like elementary school gets out
maybe.
that early.
I can't remember when primary school finished for me,
Yeah.
I'd imagine it was around 1 or 2 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean, that's, elementary school.
I mean, high school for me, secondary school, that let out at like 3:05. I remember that was...
3:30.
And because the reason I remember
maybe?
that was the time... I thought that was a bit of an odd time, 3:05. Why 5 minutes past?
Yeah.
But, why not 3 o'clock on the dot? But, yeah, and, I'd get home around 3:30, because
right.
you'd have to get, everyone's got to get home,
Yeah, and you guys don't have school buses.
Well, yeah, we did.
Did you?
Yeah, but not,
Oh.
Yeah, when I say we didn't have school buses, it's like they weren't like school buses. Like
okay.
like you got yellow school buses and they're
Yeah.
specifically for school.
Yeah.
We'd have coaches
Okay.
take us home.
Oh yeah.
And they'd just be on the school run. They'd have I remember the coach would have a little like children sign in its window, to show it was on the school duty that day,
When you say coach, you mean like what we call a city bus over here?
Like a city bus, yeah, but
Okay.
more like a Greyhound.
Oh.
Yeah, because, those coaches can go all around the country. You gotta remember, Britain's quite a tiny island.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Why would you need a huge, like, Greyhound-type bus to take?
Because there was a lot of kids,
They would, like, fill in the entire school would go in there? Like...
No, it wouldn't.
I
don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
you didn't ride the bus.
I didn't ride the bus because I lived, like, 10 minutes from school.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes my dad would take me in the car and drop me off if it was, like, really raining or it was, like, but most of the time I'd be walking,
Yeah.
It'd be bloody cold.
Uphill.
It would be too hot. Uphill.
There and back.
I took you on the walk when we went back.
Yeah.
I said, this is what I did. This is my school walk.
Yeah.
This is when I walk to school, and then I come home from school this way,
Yeah.
And yeah, so,
So then when you got home from school, then
when I got home from
what
school,
happened usually?
Usually I'd put my bag down, because we'd have, our bags
Yeah.
and everything, and, I'd just sit on the couch watching whatever was on TV. Usually it was like CITV, which was children's ITV back in the day.
Mm.
And, whatever cartoons were on, Zap, Rosie and Jim, Art Attack, all that kind of stuff. We talked about that in an earlier episode.
Yeah.
Then I'd go and maybe grab a snack.
Oh, yeah.
I'd go to the fridge and go, okay, what have I got here before pre-dinner snack? Snack, either a packet of crisps or something to drink or something. And, usually my dad would ask me, oh, what did you do at school today? And I'd be like, nothing. Because you did that. Every kid did that. Nothing, really.
Yeah.
How did school go today? It was good.
It was fine.
It was fine. And it's like, sometimes my dad would get really concerned and go, no, tell me what you did at school today. Like I was keeping something from it. I was like, I can't remember. It was just a blur. A blur. It's like, well, what lessons do you have? Well, oh, I'll get my thing out. It's like, okay, I had English, maths, physics, biology.
Physics.
And just be like, yeah, it's just the same day, It's like there's nothing really exciting to report. Nothing really happened, No one came down to the school, started making it rain, giving all the kids money, It was just that kind of thing, It was just like
Publishers
Clearinghouse,
didn't pay a visit to the school
No.
that day.
No, they didn't.
I don't think it's because necessarily that's what they think they should do. I think they genuinely want to know, like, oh, what did you do at school today? But yeah, every kid literally just says nothing.
Nothing. How did school go?
It's like you didn't do, and then parents get frustrated, like you didn't do nothing all day long.
Like, well, I did my lessons. Yeah, it would be that kind of thing. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that would be part of the routine, the nighttime routine, right there. It's just saying that kind of thing, and then I go and whatever. Sometimes.
Did you have homework generally, or?
Sometimes I did, but I sometimes never did it. Or I forget about it because
sometimes never did it.
I sometimes never did it. When we briefly lived with my gran, she would usually be starting dinner when I got in.
Oh yeah.
And because she was worse than my dad with the what did you do at school? Because she was very into the gossip and stuff. You know? And it's just like, I was just trying to watch TV or something, whatever. It's CITV and stuff. She'd be peppering me with questions, the interrogation, the light on and everything, It's just like, what did you do at school today? Talk to me. Don't look at the TV.
Oh my God. Who was there? Who was there?
See? Who did you see? Who did you talk to? What's this guy's name? What's that girl's name?
That's good though, because that way, that gave you an opportunity.
And then she'd just get frustrated and go into the kitchen and start making dinner and stuff. And then I'd go upstairs and, I'd do whatever. And then when dinner was ready, we'd usually eat around 5 or, it'd be ready around 5 or 6. That's when I'd eat.
Yeah. So when I was little, we lived in the Texas Panhandle, which is North Texas for anybody who has no idea what the Texas Panhandle is. And
Northwest Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, it's
slightly to the west.
Yes.
Okay.
It's on the left side when you're looking at a map.
It's not as left as like El Paso though.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, we lived up there, and I went to an elementary school that was literally behind one of my grandmother's house. So when I got finished with school, I'd walk to her house in the afternoons. And she kept kids for a living. She babysat. That was her job. So she'd always have a house full of kids, and I wasn't the only one that was walking home from school. I'd come home with, the other kids that she was keeping, and she would have a snack for us. We'd do a snack.
Cookies.
But yeah, definitely she had a place. We hung up our backpacks, and it was just like we'd sit down and watch cartoons or whatever until she kept also smaller kids, so they were usually napping when we got home. And so we'd like just chill out in front of the TV and watch like Tiny Toon Adventures or
we're toony, we're all a little loony.
Saved by the Bell. There was some classic after school television when I was a little kid, and we'd do that, and she'd wake up the younger kids, and she'd be like, okay, everybody, like, get out of the house, go play, We'd go, like, in her backyard and play, or she had, like, this screened-in back patio, and we would play out there and stuff, and then she'd go, okay, snack, come in and get your snack, and we'd have a little snack and all of that, and then at, like, 5 o'clock or 5:30, either my mom or dad, one or the other, would come pick me up, and we'd go home, and they would make dinner. I don't really remember, like, what I would do when I got home, until dinner time. I don't.
You just mess about. You just do whatever. Yeah, you just be like.
I must have just gone in my room and played with toys. Or something.
Yeah. I mean, as I was getting into, when I was like 12 or something, it would be usually for me, like computer. We got a computer. So it was like, computer games. It was like Command and Conquer, Red Alert, and all that kind of stuff. Like this was about 98, something like that. So we had this Gateway PC, you know, like the big
Yeah.
box monitor and everything. You know?
Yeah.
And I had an N64.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, N64. So yeah, just prior to the PC life, it was N64 life. And sometimes I get home, and when we were living with my gran, my dad would be playing it. GoldenEye 007 on the N64.
I mean, I had a Nintendo when I was a kid, but that was about it. I never, my brother and then my stepbrothers had PlayStation and whatever all, but
yeah,
I don't think I picked up a controller and maybe tried to play once, and that was pretty much it. I just never did that. And then when I got older, my parents were divorced. We moved down here to Austin, and it was a little bit older, so I would just go to school. I would ride the school bus, the yellow school bus.
The yellow school bus.
And and when we get home, we were what they call latchkey kids.
Oh,
because we had our own keys and there were no adults home, so it was just like, we had our own keys. We let ourselves into the house.
That only really started happening for me when I got older, to like 14, 15. When I was able to be a bit more responsible.
I was about 11 or 12, so I mean, I wasn't that young, but and my mom then at that point, because you eat, when I think about it now, I'm like, God, I was like eating kind of, it wasn't like a full on meal, but it was kind of like a lot, really.
What were you eating?
At like 4:00 in the afternoon. But when I think about it, you eat lunch at school at like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's like fairly, or it's pretty
early.
Our
lunchtime
in the
was
day.
1.
Oh, really?
1 to 2.
It's pretty early in the day from what I can remember. But so my mom would buy these like little frozen pizzas, or little like bagel bite pizzas, or these little tiny frozen like kind of TV dinner type meals.
Bagel bite things. Yeah.
And so we would heat something like that up in the microwave, just whatever, to have a snack or something, And then, I do my homework, if I was kind of like you. If I did it, I usually did it.
Yeah, I mean, I did some homework too, I wasn't, completely like laxing on the homework front.
Yeah. And then we'd have dinner like all as a family at the table, and that is when we'd get the question of like, what happened at school today?
What happened at school today?
And you just be like,
just
nothing.
Trying to get a conversation going. But usually it wouldn't happen for me like that at the dinner table. Because, I mean, me and my dad, since it was just me and my dad, for most of the time it was just like TV dinners, or I'd eat at the table. And, because he was a vegetarian, well, still is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we weren't eating the same things. I'd usually make my own kind of dinner when I got older,
Yeah.
And, he'd make me, like, mini Kievs or something like that, But,
oh, yeah.
Just, it's just that kind of stuff,
Mini
like,
Kievs and chips.
Mini Kievs and chips.
According to Dominic's sister, this is what he lived on.
That is what I lived on, and I would still live on today, if I could. And you've had it, too, and you think it's good.
They're good. They're good.
I made it for you.
What's his name? Bernard Matthews.
Bernard Matthews, yeah. I think he's dead now. Bernard Matthews, he's the turkey man from Norfolk.
Yeah, and so then usually after dinner is when I do my homework. Like, I would put it off until bedtime, really, you know. Well, when I was older anyway. When I was younger, we would do, so like my after dinner routine would be shower or bath, whatever, when I was little, And my favorite TV show used to come on in reruns on TBS when I was really little. The Monkees. I, for some reason, was super, super into that when I was, like, really little. They showed reruns at night. So, but it came on, like, kind of late. So I would stall taking my bath, because my mom would have to, like, use that, no more
Tangle.
no more tears detangler
Oh,
spray in my hair, and she'd be combing my hair out, and I'd just be like sitting there watching the monkeys, like ha ha ha. I'm up past my bedtime and I can watch the monkeys. When she forced me to go to bed, I'd make her put a VHS in and like record it for me. So I used to have like all these VHS tapes of the monkeys shows. I was like the weirdest looking. I was super little, and I was like, I can't miss it. I need to know what happens. Record it for me. She'd be like, you have to go to bed. You have school tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was the same sort of way, but I do remember when I was a kid, that kind of thing. I'd have a bath. It would always be a bath. I don't ever remember having a shower until I was like maybe 12, 13.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe, no, not even, a little bit earlier than that, maybe about 10 when we finally had a shower put in, I think. But when I was young, it was always baths.
Yeah.
That's
another thing Americans think about, like British people, is they like taking baths. They don't take showers, they take baths. Like everyone,
all we take.
Everyone takes baths for some reason.
I mean, it's nice to lie in the bath.
It is. Yeah,
I used to love lying in it,
Yeah.
and of course when I was a kid, I liked playing in it with my boats.
You take toys.
And I had these little Ninja Turtle and Ghostbuster things that you put under the water, you'd squeeze, and they'd suck in the water, and you could squirt them. and I remember I accidentally squirted it once up into the air, and it hit the light bulb, and it went, and it was like, and I was terrified. I screamed the house down because I was like, "What's going on?" It came in. It was like, and it's because I saw this episode of London's Burning. I think it was an episode of London's Burning.
Everything comes back to London's Burning.
London's Burning, where something happened and the light bulb or something fell into the bath and shocked them, like give them an electric shock, or something happened, or this guy, and I was like, scared of like that happening, so I was like really scared of that happening. But yeah, again, after I'd had my bath, I'd be there like just like, and I'd be allowed to watch London's Burning.
Oh yeah.
Till 10 o'clock. I think it came on at 9.
Yeah.
And it was 10 o'clock, and then World in Action came on after that.
Yeah.
And that was when I had to go to bed. It was like, World in Action, you go to bed.
Yeah.
You've watched London's Burning, now you go to bed.
Yeah, so you didn't ever like, yeah, I think most little kids they all take it the night before, don't they? Their bath or their shower or whatever, because it's like you don't have time in the morning. You don't have
time in the morning, yeah. You just get up, you brush your teeth, and you get your clothes on, you eat breakfast, and you go to school.
So it sounds like yours and my, like, after school and bedtime life was pretty much very similar. Like, there's not really different.
Not really too much of a difference.
Because I don't remember going to bed until, like, probably 9 or 10, too. Probably more like 10, really. I was terrible about trying to stay up as late as I could. I guess most kids are, though.
Yeah.
But I definitely did not go to sleep, like, nowadays, I know, well, our neighbors, Dominic and I noticed that when these people moved in next door, that their lights, because he and I go walk in the evenings. If you guys follow us on Instagram, you've seen our videos. Or whatever.
Our little Instagram stories.
Yeah, our stories. We noticed that all their lights are out in their house by like 8 o'clock, right?
8 o'clock.
7:30 or 8 o'clock, like, there's not a light, and the cars are there, so like they're home.
I mean, we've looked in the windows and everything.
No, but they have little kids, and so we guess that must just be why, like, they go to bed when they put their kids to bed, or maybe they're up but just with the lights off, but there's no lights in the house, and so it's just like, God. But I know that that's a thing. This girl that I used to work with, she put her son to bed at 7:30. And I'm just thinking, during the summer, like, it is light for hours at 7:30.
Well, especially in Britain, it is.
Yeah.
It gets light in summertime. It gets light until almost about 10 o'clock is when it starts actually getting dark.
Yeah, and you guys go to school for longer too. Like, your summer, out of school summer is not as long as we have over here.
No, it's about a month.
Yeah,
that's it.
So yeah, so you're having to go to bed and it's still light outside. That's terrible. But yeah, I definitely was not one of these kids who was made to go to bed at like 7:30 or 8. I don't know. I don't know if I think now that the knowledge is out there that kids need, X amount of sleep, more parents try to put their kids to bed early nowadays than they used to. So that was part of my reason for asking on Instagram what time our Instagram followers went to bed as kids.
And what time did they go to bed as kids?
So mostly, well, actually, we have one American here who says 7 p.m. We had to go to our rooms and we could play or read until mom shouted lights out at 8 p.m. We were eating dinner at 7 p.m. in my house. 7 p.m. was usually about dinner time to me. In fact, I can remember, like, as a teenager, Friends came on at 7 o'clock. And I can remember sitting on my bed watching the episode where Ross and Rachel were breaking up, and they hollered at me from the kitchen, "Dinner's ready, come to the table." And I was just like, I can't come to the table. Ross and Rachel are breaking up. Like, this is a very serious matter. You're going to try to call me to dinner. How dare you, And it was just like, no, I'm not coming till this episode is over.
How old were you then?
I don't know. I don't know
when was that episode?
That episode, oh God, I don't know. That
late
show
90s.
Ran for like 10 years, so I have no idea. Yeah, late 90s. In the UK, this person's in the UK, and she said she went to bed at probably around 7 p.m. Until she was about 8, and then upped it till about 8 p.m. So
went to bed with her 8 when she was 9. She went 9 p.m. 10 p.m.
Yeah, but then we have a response from the Ukraine, and she says she would go to bed every day at about 11 p.m. So that's quite late. I mean, unless we're talking about teenagers, because as a teenager, I probably went to bed at like 11 too. I guess. I would stay up and I don't know what I would stay up and do, actually. Just stay up and try not to go to bed, I guess.
Yeah,
or maybe on the computer.
Stay up. And
I'm
not going to go to sleep. Not going to go to sleep.
Might have been on the internet. Like that's the only time you could. Because back then we had dial-up. Yeah. So I had to make sure nobody was on the phone in order for me to be able to go
those days.
Yeah.
Someone would pick up the phone and, oh, it's gone! What have you done?
Yes.
The world has ended!
We have a reply from Ireland. She says 9:30 at first, then 10:30 when she was a bit older. So that's about like you and I said, yeah. And then another reply from the UK. Oh, no, from NYC. Bedtime was at 8 p.m., but I stayed up later than that anyway. I grew up in NYC. That's a country, isn't it?
Yep, yeah. NYC is a country.
I think to people in NYC, that is a country, yeah. Someone from Utah says 10:30-ish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, similar. 9 p.m. until 7th grade, and then 11 p.m., 7th and 8th, and then whenever from there on. In Portugal, 9 p.m. Grew up in Portugal and America. 9 p.m. from the USA. Don't remember. It was a really long time ago. 8 or 8:30. USA. Oh, USA. 2,100 hours.
Yeah, 2,100 hours.
Which is what?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. You can come up with that a lot easier than I can. Yeah. One of these days, we're going to talk about the 24-hour clock that Britain uses, because that really just does my head in.
24 hours in a day.
And then the last reply was 9-ish.
Yeah.
And I mean, we may have more replies because that hasn't been up.
Yeah.
That hasn't been up for long. But anyway, if we didn't get to your reply, then we apologize about that. But yeah, so I mean, it's pretty similar around the world. It sounds like, except for maybe Ukraine, but you can't really say that because that could have just been her parents letting her stay up until 11:30. I think it's definitely just based on your household, like
It's basically, every individual is different, you know, set of circumstances and everything, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. So anyway, we are out of time.
We are out of time.
I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you want to chime in with anything you can remember from like your after school routine up until bedtime, let us know, because this is the kind of thing that we find interesting. This is the kind of thing that Dominic and I sit around talking about.
We sit around thinking about when you went to bed as a kid.
Yes. We're like, you know what? I wonder when they went to bed. Now, you know, I'm making fun of that, but
we really do. We really do.
We really do. I mean, obviously, or I wouldn't have put that on.
I wonder when some people go to bed in Europe.
Yes.
And how late they eat.
Yeah. Our cat says goodbye.
The cat says goodbye. Unless you heard that.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support, and we will talk to you next time. Bye. Bye.